Hi everyone, this is Stacia and I'm here with a Stacia miniature. So this is a blitz game that I played on chess.com and we're going to learn something today. Something from this game. This was a max Ling attack and I think it's a really interesting game. So I'll show you how I got this far. Okay, my opponent played one e4. I went e5. Knight f3 and knight c6. This is all normal. Bishop to c4 is the Italian game. And now I like to play knight to f6. So even though this does allow knight g5, we don't care about that because we have the move d5, and after takes, knight a5, attacking the bishop. And this is all fine for black. But my opponent did not play knight g5. They castled. Now, I actually think I messed up during the game because castles allows this move. I mean, that's the whole point of knight f6. We're saying, hey, we're going to take your pawn. Do you care about that? And I probably should go ahead and take it. Now, I think that white can win back the pawn. Like the computer gives this line, bishop to b5. And then we go bishop c5, queen e1 attacking the knight. I really want to play d5 here, but the computer likes knight f6. And then they take. Notice they're removing the defender of the e-pawn. And then after we take back, wow, queen check at once. That's pretty interesting. So that's actually a fork. So queen e7 must be the only move, maintaining defense of the bishop. And then here, we go into an ending. Wow. Well, this position looks fine, though. But that's pretty interesting. But I did not take the pawn during the game. I played bishop to c5. Which is probably, I mean, it's fine. It's a fine move. You don't have to take on e4. And then he played d4. Okay, so, wow. I didn't realize this during the game, but this is the Deutsch Gambit. Pretty sure. So I'm going to turn on the Explorer if I can find it. Oh, openings. Here we go. Wow. Yeah. That's the Deutsch Gambit. So I don't know if you guys watch Hanging Pawns channel with Stiepen, but he plays the Deutsch Gambit. So that's pretty interesting. So after d4, I feel like we should take the pawn. That is what I did. And now we're in a max Ling attack, apparently. See, this is why I wanted to look at it. I don't really know the opening that well, but I know some of the ideas, and I wanted to see if I executed correctly. So after this, he pushed e5. Now this move e5 attacks my knight. So I should probably move it, right? Well, I think moving it is probably a mistake. And especially a mistake. Well, yeah, I think it's a mistake. I've had 2 games, tournament games, mind you, where I played a move like knight g4. Not in this exact position, but positions very much like this, where white pushes e5. And the problem here, let's see, white could play bishop f4, defending the pawn. Okay, that pawn is sufficiently defended. And then if I castle, they can kick the knight out. Okay, now where am I going to put this knight? If I go knight h6, this is pretty uncomfortable. Okay, they can take and open my king side. I don't love playing this structure. Now I'm actually surprised that in this exact position, this is okay apparently. But I mean, I would much rather be white in a position like this. So I don't like knight g4. Instead, I should play the move d5, which is what I played in the game. So we're counterattacking. We're saying if you take my knight, I'll take your bishop. So in a lot of positions, they will move their bishop away, especially to the b5 square. But in this position, the Max Ling attack kind of revolves around this. Pawn takes and pawn takes. Okay, so very interesting position. Whenever something like this happens, it makes the position sharp. So there's going to be a lot of tactics and tricks. And that is why I'm interested in this game. I want to know what those are. So let's take a look. My opponent actually took on g7. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they play rook e1 check first. Let's have a look at this first. I would play bishop e6. And then often they go knight g5. That attacks the bishop. And it makes you nervous too because they might take on f7. You don't know. All right, and they're reserving this move for later. Now here, this is what I'm interested in. Now I'm pretty sure there's a book move. Let's look. The book move is queen d5. Now I will tell you that I actually blundered before in a game. I think it's even on my channel where I took on f6 and lost immediately because after this they can take here. Okay, I cannot take with a queen because of the rook. So I would have to take with a pawn. But anytime you move your f pawn, even in a capture, it allows this check. And guess what? That's a fork. And I lost that game because I lost material. So queen f6 is a big blunder. So don't fall for that. Queen d5 is instead the move. But the computer gives this move. g6. g6. Now I have to tell you, I'm really interested in learning this line because it looks like a bad move, but apparently it's not. It's quite a tricky move. So let's see if we can learn at least one thing about it. So g6 prevents, it prevents pawn takes rook. That is true. It prevents pawn takes g7. And we're locking away the king side. It's locked up now, and we could castle, although it looks very scary with the pawn here. But maybe we are actually threatening to take now. There's no queen h5 check with the pawn on g6. So maybe that's the whole point. Maybe we're going to take this pawn. All right, now the computer gives, let's see, knight takes e6. Now we're going to take, yeah, and there's no queen h5 anymore. And then it says rook takes e6 check. I mean, it looks crazy to allow this, doesn't it? It looks like maybe white is winning. Just to allow the rook to crash in with check like this. But king f7 and black is better in this position. So next time I have this position, I'm going to play like this and see what happens. All right, well, let's go back to the game. Okay, so d5 takes, and he actually took on g7. Okay, so we're not going to play f6 anymore. Never play f6. All right, so rook g8 is the obvious move. Now we're attacking the pawn, and we're lined up with the opponent's king. So I still don't mind my position here. Okay, rook check, sure. Bishop to e6. We're going to develop our bishop and block the check. And knight g5, attacking the pinned piece. So here I actually realized that queen f6 is a huge blunder because I played that before. It still is. Knight takes e6, takes, check, the fork is still there. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go queen d5. So queen d5 defends the bishop, develops our queen, and attacks the knight. The knight is defended, but at least we have an eye on it. Okay, he took the bishop. Of course, I have to take with a pawn. Don't feel like losing my queen. And now this move, knight to c3. So I have a feeling this is a pretty common move for white. Yeah, and he played this. Like, he played all these moves instantly. I have news for you. The time on the clock is this. We both started with 3 minutes. My opponent has 3 minutes and 8 seconds. That's because of the 2-second increment. So wow. So he's pretty confident about this move, but it actually says black's better after queen f5. Now I thought here I had 2 minutes left, so I already used a minute. And I think I played queen f5. I wanted to play queen g5, honestly, but then I'm like, oh, I don't want to lose my queen. So I was like, well, you know, he's using the pin, so maybe I could just, yeah, notice, like, if you're like, oh, wait, my queen's defended, I'll take. That's a huge blunder, actually. Queen takes queen, and it's a mean computer because that pawn is pinned. That would be a shame, but I did see that. So queen to f5. Okay, so that is a correct move. That's good to know. Now he played knight to e4 because you need to move the knight. It's now attacked. And here, pretty sure I castle. Here I castled. Now it turns out I could actually play rook takes g7 here. That's what the computer wants to play. That looks a little insane to me because what about this? He can take the bishop, and when I take back, rook takes e6 check. So, okay, what can we learn? Why is this good? King to d7 this time. That attacks the rook. I would expect, you know, the queen to defend the rook. That's what I would expect. So I'm going to play queen e2. And if queen e2, we play d3. That attacks the queen. And then after, let's see, I would expect takes. Now he can take with check. I mean, you've got to be kidding me, right? What's wrong with that? Something's very wrong. The computer hates it. Oh, it drops the... Well, it can't drop the rook. It's with check. I guess if they take... Okay, this is like a crazy line to me because we're just going to take stuff with our king and just claim that we're not in danger. I mean, intuitively, I wouldn't play this way, but if I know it's good, I will. So I like learning this idea. I would expect like a crazy checkmate attack, like a lot of checks coming. Computer wants bishop to h6. Yeah, I like this. This defends with tempo against our rook. And now the rook is ready to come and check the king. Computer says no problem. Rook g6, defend or attack the bishop. And then if this, we just go king f6. And we're safe somehow. Oops, king f7 loses. So I was right about this being dangerous. The problem is queen b3. Attack the king, attack this pawn. What's going on here? If I move my king, what's going on? Let's say I move my king. Oh, the rook is defending over here. Queen e6 checkmate. So yeah, this is very scary. I actually don't know if I would play this way. Maybe in a very slow game I would. So I had time to like look at all the danger, but okay. It's fun to look at computer lines, so that's why we do it. Okay, queen f5, knight d4. Okay, here I castled. This seems very practical to me. I'm not upset about this move. And if knight takes bishop, it's defended by the queen. That's what happened. I took back. And now he did take the pawn, but here I thought, I have some nice options. I can either take the pawn on g7, or I could even play d3. Notice that black is better developed here. So I did play d3. Pawn breaks are good when you're better developed. They played here, attacking my queen. I went here, and I actually thought white is probably in some serious trouble now. I'm threatening to take the rook. I'm threatening to take the pawn. And I might be threatening this too. He played queen g4. So defending g7 and also threatening discoveries. So I felt like I should maybe, oh wow, you know the move that I should have played is rook g7. I think that's cool. Now the discoveries don't work. Like let's say he was going to try to win my queen. Well, I take the queen, so that doesn't work. And otherwise, if he takes the rook, I take his rook. So that's kind of cool. That move didn't cross my mind, but it probably should have. Okay, but instead I played king b8, which is natural. And now he played rook to e4. Yeah, so I'm going to take on c2 now. It just looks too good. Just looks too good. I could still take on g7 as well. So he actually should have went c takes d3 here. Against this, I would probably take. This pawn looks very dangerous. And it says he could play rook h6. Attacking that. And I guess if I push, he goes rook d1. So this pawn is now blockaded and attacked. And the computer says the best thing now is to go pawn grubbing. Huh, very interesting. So I'm definitely learning some about these middle games. But okay, let's go back to the game. In the game, he played rook to e4. I did, I played this move. I wonder what the computer thinks about it. It likes d takes c2 right away better. I mean, I kind of like h5 because it's defended, and I'm saying like, hey, where's your queen gonna go? Because don't forget, you need to defend the rook. And he played here, maintaining defense of the rook, and only then did I play here. So I kind of like that. Yeah, and then this is probably just a blunder. I'm not sure why he played this. I guess he has to avoid queen d1. Queen d1 check should win. Because even if he takes, I make a new queen. And that's going to be checkmate, so he can't do that. So yeah, the computer wants rook to f1. Interesting move. Now if I try to do this, he doesn't take it, but he goes, queen f6. This is what the computer wants. Although I don't fully understand it. What is the idea behind this? Maybe he's going to go here. I'm not sure. He could also play queen g5 is another move. Here. So I'm starting to think that maybe the point of both moves is to stop me from taking this. All right, but in the game, he played bishop here, and now I think it's over, so I'll just show you the rest. I can take that. When he takes back, I take. And when he took that, queen d1 check, and I think it's just mate's inevitable. Takes, queen check, queen checkmate. Okay, so I thought that was a pretty interesting game. We learned a little bit about the max sling attack and the middle games involved with those. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back with more. All right, bye.